going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today. This weekend was the NPC Nationals 2024, often viewed as one of the most exciting amateur bodybuilding competitions of the year. And there were a couple standouts here that caught a lot of people's eyes. So what you're watching right here, this is the comparison for the overall title. So if you guys don't know how the amateurs work, this is the winner of each weight class, all competing for the overall win. And I thought this was a really impressive overall comparison. So there were two standout guys to me that really stood above the rest. One is the obvious, the guy that ended up winning the overall. He was the super heavyweight in this overall comparison. His name was Reagan King. I thought he looked phenomenal here. And of course, these winners get their IFBB Pro card. So what you're looking at here is a future IFBB Pro, potentially future IFBB star. That's kind of the significance of nationals. It's like the best of the best amateurs. But another guy that stood out to me was the guy that won the middleweights. And his name was Tafik Muhammad. So one of the reasons he really stood out to me is he had pretty insane proportions. Really small waist, great legs, round and full through the upper body. So obviously not as big and freaky as a super heavyweight because he was a middleweight guy. But it looks like he's probably going to be a 212 competitor starting out. Also earned his pro card here at Nationals. So those two guys, for me, were the two guys that really caught my eye when I was watching these comparisons. But I just kind of wanted to also mention there were 13 other guys at this show that earned their pro card this weekend, including DeAndre Jackson, Joshua Calhoun, Julian Sanchez, Caleb Siverly, Timothy Klein, Tafik Muhammad, Charleston Cornish, Christopher Bastian, Giovanni Del Bianito, Jacob Delara, Justin O'Donnell, Matthew Hill, and Roosevelt Hernandez. So a pretty big crop of new IFBB pros came out of this show this weekend. So congratulations to all of them. And it was a really good Nationals overall lineup. Now, next up in the news, let's talk about some pros because we've got a couple really cool updates from some pros, including Derek Lunsford, who recently announced he will be competing in the 2025 Arnold Classic Open Division. This being, at least the caption of this post, saying this is the beginning of his prep for the Arnold. I think right now we would be around a little over 10 weeks out. And Derek, for me, really was the surprise of that Arnold Classic competitor list. I really wasn't expecting to see him there. Again, he doesn't have to requalify for the Olympia. He doesn't necessarily have to prove anything during the regular season. So it's really cool that he's doing this show. And it's really cool that we have another former Mr. Olympia champ joining this lineup to potentially have somebody that could give Samson a run for his money. I really would have liked to see Hottie do this show, and we basically get an Olympia rematch of the entire top three. And, of course, you also have Brandon Curry, another former Mr. Olympia in this lineup, and Sean Clarita, a former 212 Mr. Olympia in this lineup. So very, very competitive Arnold lineup. And it would admittedly be a pretty huge momentum shift if Derek were somehow able to beat Samson here, because I think he lost a good bit of momentum dropping to third at the Olympia. But if he were able to turn that around and somehow beat Samson at the Arnold, I think he'd have a ton of new momentum going into the Olympia, having beaten the current Mr. Olympia in a non-Olympia competition. Now, I don't really know how likely that is to happen. I think Samson is certainly the favorite to win this show. But I will say, this was an impressive physique update from Derek. I thought he looked really big here. I thought his legs looked really crazy here, crazy separation, but they're also crazy big and full. And it could be the lighting too, but this was just a very full-looking version of Derek. So what do you guys think? Do you think Derek has a legitimate shot at the Arnold Classic as far as beating Samson Dauda and winning that $500,000 first place check? Because even if it seems unlikely, anything is possible. Which brings me to the next story that I've got for you guys today, a recent guest posing that Samson Dauda did in Italy, having already began his Arnold Classic prep. He was, I believe, the first person to announce that he was doing the 2025 Arnold Classic. And I've mentioned this several times before, but I still think it's one of the most exciting parts of the Samson Dauda doing the Arnold Classic story. If he does win the Arnold Classic this year, he will be setting a new prize money record in bodybuilding within a 1-year period, and also the record for just 2 shows back-to-back in general, the most prize money ever. $600 at the Olympia, $500 at the Arnold, $1.1 million for 2 shows, which is the thing that I'm really rooting for Samson at the Arnold for, is because he's pushing that bar so much higher for all these other pros by setting this record if he wins. Because all the way back, like ever since I started this channel, bodybuilder prize money has been a topic of conversation as far as it being too low. And in recent years, we've seen some massive, massive jumps in prize money. A lot of that attributed to the Arnold pushing it up to $500K this year. But we're seeing some big steps in the right direction as far as bodybuilder payment just from prize money. And Samson right now is the guy that's really leading that charge. And I want to reiterate, as you're watching this guest posing, even though Samson doesn't say how much he weighs in this specific video, it was just a week ago that Samson told us he weighed 325 pounds beginning this Arnold Classic prep. So just imagine as you're watching this is a guy that's deep into the 300s. Look at the separation in his abs. Look at the detail you can see on his physique. The way that he carries this 300 pounds is nothing short of impressive. And I keep saying 300 pounds, but over 320. He carries that size really, really well. And I think back to like the old pictures of Big Ramy starting a prep where we'd hear these crazy numbers about his weight, 330 plus. I've even heard 350. I think Samson carries that size better than Ramy. And granted, Samson is a couple inches taller than Ramy, so that you can attribute some of that to his height. This is probably the most aesthetic 320 plus pounds we've ever seen on a bodybuilder. And maybe the best midsection we've ever seen on a 320 plus pound bodybuilder. I think what we're seeing now from Samson here lately is Samson really hitting his stride and really hitting the prime of his physique. It took him a couple years to kind of grow into his frame and fill it out. And now that he has, I feel like we're seeing the best version of Samson, which is going to be very difficult to beat. But even though I think Samson is the favorite to win the Arnold and he looks really impressive in these recent updates, just crazy big, I'm still glad that Derek is doing the show because it at least gives us the potential to see an actual battle. I didn't want to see Samson just come in here essentially unchallenged and just walk all over this lineup. At least Derek is a former Mr. Olympia champ, still a top 3 Olympian, even though he dropped this year. He's still a guy that has the potential to push Samson. And keep in mind, he did beat Samson just last year. So I'm glad that Samson has somebody in here that potentially could give him a run for his money. I don't know if he will, but we still have that potential, and it's not just going to be Samson coming in here and just dominating, although it could still be that. But I have a feeling it won't be. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you have Samson or do you have Derek as your favorite to win the 2025 Arnold Classic? Or maybe somebody else entirely, Andrew Jacked, Brandon Curry, William Bonac. Maybe you have Sean Clarita. Let me know in the comments down below. Now, next up in the news, we've got a recent physique update from Keone Pearson in what he says is his health phase 9 weeks post-Olympia. He says in this video he's weighing between 218 and 219 pounds. And one of the reasons why I wanted to include this, obviously, is he's over the 212 weight limit here. So it's a little bit closer of a visual representation to what he might look like as an open bodybuilder. And a couple videos ago, we talked about the recent statements that he made, how he wants to go head-to-head with Samson. He wants to beat Samson. He thinks had he competed in the 2024 Open Olympia with his 212 Olympia package, he thinks he would have been top 3. And I think by this point, he's made it pretty clear that someday he does intend to go open. Can he be the next Derek Lunsford, the next Hadi Chupin, the next guy that comes from 212 and is able to pretty quickly rise to the top of the Open Olympia and then win the Open Olympia like Derek and Hadi did? And of course, I 100% believe he would be able to do that, but I want to know what you guys think watching this video where he's in his quote-unquote health phase, but he is heavier than the 212 weight limit. Can you foresee him doing well as an open bodybuilder? Why or why not? And that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.